another story. McKay, are you gonna tell? McKay, are you telling the
looking at the back,
the real story?
It's really amazing to like watch her tell the story while you're like.
There's another version of actually.
Really cool.
I'll tell you.
In Greek mythology, the Fates are three goddesses who assign destinies to us mortals. They're old weavers who spin the threads of our lives. Their word is so powerful that not even Zeus will challenge their instincts. And luckily for all of us, the Fates were on Annie and Brooke's side, allotting them spools of thread and spinning them into the beautiful web of this relationship, which we are so happy to celebrate today.
I know most people, but in case not, I'm Brooke's sister, Lily. And I'm also a really dear friend of the McFadden, so it's special to be coming in on both the groom and the bride side. The first McFadden I met was George, almost 20 years ago, in high school, and then through George, met McKay, and McKay and I lived together right out of college, and at that time, had the pleasure of meeting Lucy and Annie. And at that apartment is where Brooke and Annie first met. So it seems like this all has been a long time in the making, and it's exciting to be here and officially uniting the clans.
Prouts Neck, it's a fabulous place. You know, with the cliff walk and the crashing waves, the sandy beaches, the beautiful sandy marshes, and this incredible community. It's a delight to be here.
What has it been like seeing property?
It's unbelievable. I never thought they were going to get to the end of building that thing. It took them about 10 days. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it was crazy. It looked like we were going to just slide our house forward a couple of hundred feet. But it was fun.
Wow. Is this your first?
First, yeah, by first. I got 3 daughters. This is the first, and she's the youngest. Yeah. Very excited. Yeah.
Wow. I love it.
Jamie!
How are you?
We're good. We're excited, buddy.
Hey.
How you been doing?
Fantastic.
Good.
Working on my...
Well, as you might have suspected, I'm the father of the bride.
There's the version that we tell that's appropriate, and then there's the other version, which is the real version. You can video it. It's fine. The sweet version is that we met in our sister's apartment. He came in with his friend Clark, and I was watching a basketball game and drinking a beer at the time, which I never do. But I think Brooke was like, "Whoa, who's this cool girl?"
She had like her glasses like perched halfway on her forehead, like kind of like how a parent would wear them, like squinting in, watching the game. And Brooke came in and like with his buddy Clark and was kind of just like totally, taken aback, trying to say hi. Like
we're in Brooklyn, like gonna go to a party. We tried to invite her out, and she's just like, no. I mean, not in a bad way, but it's like we're like, all right. And then like we got in the stairwell, and it's like, whoa, Clark, who was that?
So I know that Brooke, like, first instant was like into, like, really into Annie. And
I mean, you meet Annie, and like she just is her own person. She walk in, she's like, hey. And just like, but then like goes back down like watching like a Memphis basketball game. We're like, what are you doing? She's like, watching basketball.
Yes.
Like, you want to go to this bar with us? Like, no. It's just like this. I mean, it's just when you know Annie, it's kind of like the way she handles herself is like so authentic.
A few years later, both of our families happened to be going to the same place for New Year's, skiing. We were all in Zermatt together, but McKay didn't tell Lily. They were roommates at the time. They didn't tell each other that they were going to Zermatt beforehand because they were both like, oh, what are you doing for Christmas? What are you doing for New Year's? They're like, oh, skiing with family. Oh, me too. I don't know. I guess they never and so we got off the train in Zermatt, and their family was getting off on the same train.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So actually, and then they ended up coming over for cocktails to the Hambreys for New Year's Eve. And my parents met the Strouds, like they met Moose Boo, Alex, and Lily, and then like it didn't really register with anyone because we weren't dating, so they weren't, like they never remember that they had like met before.
So this is not the first time we've been together, according to the fates. The McFaddens and the Strouds spent New Year's Eve together with our cousins, and then us kids went out to a place called Club Schneewittchen. And it was here at Club Schneewittchen where Brooke got his first chance to talk to Annie. And Brooke was taken, obviously. So that's the second encounter the fates had offered, a pretty big one. Afterwards, he wrote Annie a letter addressed to the Theta House at UVA. So obviously, he must have intended the entire sorority house to read it. Which they did, and I think it might have been sent out in the national newsletter. Is there a lost and found in Zermatt, he wrote, because I left my heart and soul on the dance floor.
So after that, I ended up breaking up with my boyfriend, so I was single, and then he started visiting me at UVA. And we went out to some really fun dinners, and we were casually dating, not serious. I could tell he really liked me, and I think I was a little spooked. And so we ended up parting ways.
Like our level of maturity was low, so it was like in college, like I'd go to UVA, have fun, visit her, and then I'd like try to go back and visit her and kind of like wouldn't hear back on a text message. So it was like kind of this like pursuit. And then I graduated, to go back to school, and then like up here in Maine, I drove down from Mount Desert Island. It's like cool, like I'm gonna be in Prouts Neck. Then I saw her like passing, and it was kind of like, man, I got back to Mount Desert Island. I was talking to Clark. I was like, dude, he's like, how'd it go? I was like, I didn't even really see her. So yeah, so I guess it's like playing hard to get works.
Years go by. In my opinion, and I made sure to tell her so, she'd lost her chance. And I was not impressed. How many chances would the fates offer her? Brooke is an incredible man. Smart, funny, does a great German accent.
Brooke had already won all of us over back in 2009, where he laid the groundwork, and he came up to visit Prouts Neck, actually, where he visited Hillary Miller, and they were friends from Richmond, platonic friends from Richmond, and he very much pulled off getting really fired up to be tapped into the PNCC men's doubles tennis championship with Mr. Miller, but I was on to him. And then next thing you know, Brooke is up here hosting a pop-up trunk show for his belts, and I'm thinking to myself, there's probably places with a higher hit rate than this 3-mile radius peninsula, but it was very convenient that Harriet had an excuse to buy a belt for every single McFadden family member, which, as you saw tonight, there are a lot of them.
I had a belt company called La Matera, and I was doing a trunk show at the Wagner's house, and Harriet came in and bought some stuff. And I was like, I just saw your mom, like I have to text about that. Right. And then there was like some other, then conversation started happening, and like it kind of slowly, and then I was living in Charlottesville eventually. I was like, well, I'm gonna go to San Francisco for Thanksgiving to visit my cousins. And I mean, I had cousins there and I was visiting them, but I was like, kind of like hoping something would happen. And then that was kind of like 4 years later, more mature, more like, wiser.
I always think this sounds so cheesy, but it's true. He texted me on a day that my coworkers were passing around their horoscopes at work. So I read mine, and it was something along the lines of, be open to someone from your past. I'm not kidding. And then, I see my text, my phone like beeps. It said Brooke Stroud, and I literally turned to all my coworkers. I'm like, shut up! You won't believe who just texted me. None of them know. None of them know anything about Brooke or anything. And then I have to explain to them, there's this guy. I haven't heard from him in 5 years. He just texted me. He's the someone from my past. Okay, I'm gonna be open.
Luckily, this time Annie does respond. And soon Brooke happens to be in SF to see his cousins. And finally, they go on their official first date.
And I responded, and then that started a series of text messages, and that we exchanged for 6 months, and without talking on the phone or seeing each other. I was so nervous because he told me he was coming out, and he was staying with his cousin, and we were friends. I was friends with his cousin, me and our group of friends. So his cousin was planning to have a party, and we went to the party. And I saw him from across the room, and I could not go and talk to him. I was so nervous. And even though we had been texting each other right before the party, I don't think that we talked to each other at the party for 3 hours.
Oh my gosh.
We avoided each other. We were I think we both were seeing each other and running away because it was just the tension. I wasn't gonna get spooked again. I knew I couldn't let myself get spooked again. So I was like, this is it. Otherwise I would have just been leading him on for 6 months, you know?
Thank you.
There you go.
How's it look?
Very good.
What do you see your coat? My blue suit, my new blue suit. You'll love the coat too.
Wow, beautiful.
Did you choose artwork that has a story? It's Bo Bartlett, our just favorite person in the world, who's painted 2 of the big paintings, including the daughters and the light years in the dining room. Jake's dear mother, Granny, Nancy Kopp, painted this Brides at Prouts, Happy the Bride That Was at Prouts.
Yeah, and this one.
Yeah, and there's some Stroud family paintings, and there are several artists and their family. Oh, and Winslow Homer, of course, because this was his neck of the woods. And he painted right here, and he painted this fabulous summer moonlight painting. Took place right out where we're going to be dancing, because that's where he painted the picture when the Checkley House Hotel was here.
Oh, wow.
So we're in the same spot, and the same beautiful girl in the white dress will be there dancing away tonight. With the surf, see the surf? Just like.
Oh yeah, so true.
Oh.
That is a monster.
Yeah, that is.
Lucy. Thank God McKay and Lily were coming. They already had plans to go to Joshua Tree for New Year's. And so my sister Lucy hopped on board for the trip, and I hopped on board. So it was going to be me, McKay, Lucy, and Lily. And then they were like, do you want to include Brooke? And I was like, yeah. So even though I was really nervous, it was a lot. I got to go on a vacation, but I just risked it. I was like, hey, do you want to come to New Year's to Joshua Tree? And he was like, yes, absolutely. So it ended up being a family trip over New Year's. It was fun.
I think Annie and Brooke both needed that strong of a reason to see each other. They couldn't have invented that themselves. So I think if Lily and I hadn't been roommates and friends and then also gone on this trip together, I'm not sure when Annie and Brooke would have met in such loaded circumstances. But I think it's fun that for both of them, they just got to go visit their older sister, twice, and then find each other there. But I like taking credit for everything that my sisters do. It might now be, I don't deserve the credit.
McKay's version of your love with Brooke was very funny and unique and pretty, but also false. I'm so glad she led that high-level fantasy, because now I have my conclusion, which I didn't really have. It wasn't the first time they'd talked in 5 years. I actually remember that Brooke had a previous relationship, and Annie, ping. On his birthday, he was on a date with the ex-girlfriend, and Annie's a little ding, 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 ding. She texted him, happy birthday. Woo!
There's another version of I'll tell you. So that's all true, except 5 years ago, or no, less than that. We were having dinner with my mom in California. We were talking about, oh, you went to Richmond? It was when Mom was getting to know Brooke, oh, that's where you went to college. And And Mom goes, Annie, remember when we went to Richmond and you stayed with Hillary Miller and it was raining? We went that random Tuesday and you had just gotten your wisdom teeth out. And I was like, oh yeah, like I do remember that. And then Brooke was like basically like kicking me under the table. Like he looked like something had moved him of not understanding. And then after dinner, he was like, Annie, we've made out before.
Oh, God. But he didn't remember that.
Yeah, and we both remember it now, but it took Mom to mention all that information for us to put two and two together. It makes sense that it was before we met in McKay's apartment, because I remember when he walked into McKay's apartment, it makes sense because there was a sense of familiarity. Like we weren't actually meeting each other the first time. It was like, oh yeah, Brooke Stroud. Like,
Brooke has always been one of the coolest son of a guns out there. He's a gentleman. I mean, he's someone from the old world, I like to say. It's true. And combined with his wit and comedic timing, I mean, he will leave you paralyzed with laughter. He is genuinely polite, and he's genuinely a hound dog. So it makes him so popular, you know. But as his friend, you get tenfold back. So it's hard to say just where he was going to land, because for me, I found hard to find a more special man. And he came across this whimsical creature. And Annie, you will always be a whimsical creature to me.
Recently, I opened up an email from Annie, and it just started with like, "Can I get a yeehaw?" And like, that to me is Annie.
Annie marches to the beat of her own drum, and she provides the music to do so. To quote Annie's blog, yes, you can Google this, and she did this in collaboration with Granny and Lucy, I believe, last summer. Boring people have boring lives. And it's so abundantly clear that that will never be the case with you two. For those of you who know Myers-Briggs, which is sort of the personality type characteristics, Annie is an ENFP. The campaigner personality is a true free spirit. Charming, independent, engaging, and compassionate, the 7% of the population that they comprise can certainly be felt in any crowd. ENFPs live in the world of possibilities.
For instance, Annie's Homemade Desserts, her business that she started up here in Prouts, where she was selling cakes for like $60 a pop. That was a very lucrative business, but one thing that hasn't been mentioned that was kind of a key piece of that business was she, put up flyers all around the neck for it that had the menu and her contact information, and should you need it, a personal reference from none other than trusted business advisor and fellow 12-year-old Daphne Grayson. I actually did get one reference check phone call. It was Granny.
You know, Annie was a great chef as a youngster. And I have visions of her with recipe cards, cooking beautiful dishes, and Siren's chocolate cakes, delivering them around Prouts Neck. She made a lot of money. She charged everything to us and kept all the money. We invested it in a mutual fund. It's grown. She's getting ready to cash out. So I first wrote a recipe for Annie with a lot of great verbs, like stir it in, fold it up, cook it up. But I just want to mention some of the qualities that everybody already knows about her. Annie, you're so enthusiastic. You're so enthusiastic all the time. Everyone likes you. It's like everybody. When I got RSVP cards back from the Strouds, they would say in there, "We love Annie, and we can't wait to have her in our family, and we can't wait to meet your family." That was really touching. Annie, you've got great imagination, great creativity. Not only that, you're putting it to work at a great job that you have. I'm very proud of you for that. You've got great curiosity, and you've got your mother's independent spirit, which is strong in a marriage. You know, nobody wants to be dependent on anybody. You want to be your independent self, and you're good at that. And then finally, you're very passionate, which is wonderful. Everybody knows that about you. So all those qualities are qualities that Brooke complements.
And turns out Brooke is also an ENFP. So my linear type A self is an absolute wreck watching these free spirits lose their car keys, forget their phones, and I am thinking this is literally the blind leading the blind. In observing these two, I know that Brooke adores the quirky, youngest child Annie-isms, and that she's just her total best self around him. I also know that the entrepreneur and explorer part of your ENFP, Brooke, will have the backing of Annie through and through.
I was all ready as trusted advisor to put my full support behind Brooke, but this was one instance where Annie didn't need any guidance. She knew.
Brooke, I just feel so lucky to have you as a brother. I love you and have, a huge amount of respect for you. And when I think of Brooke, I often think of this phrase that Brooke and Clark like to use that's called good duty. And good duty is basically this kind of like mixture of like old school chivalry, do the right thing, but always with humor.
I got a fever, and the only cure is more triangle.
Brooke is the best older brother anyone could ever ask for. Just across the board, my entire life, there's no tables turning. I only look up to him in every single way, whether it's motivation, it's humor, it's compassion, wit, sensitivity, you name it. I'm only who I am because of him. I really love you, Brooke. I really couldn't ask for anything more.
I'm Lucy. I'm one of Annie's older sisters. Since Annie and I were little, we've been a little sister unit. McKay's a little older than us, so Annie and I have been grouped together as a pair, as life partners, up until tomorrow. Our partnership went through many different phases as we were kids. I'm going to tell you about when I was president of the Kids Club. I was 2.5, and still am, 2.5 years older than Annie. So naturally, I have been president of all of our clubs. And whether I like it or not, my term is ending and Brooke's is beginning. I couldn't have picked a better successor myself. I'm so excited, Brooke, to have you join our family. And Annie and Brooke, although I've usually been president for all of our clubs, I'm very happy to be stepping down for this one. Love you, Ann.
All right, a little more about Brooke. I can't stop, see? So, it was Christmas last year in Costa Rica. Brooke joined us, fortunately, for the holiday. And it was the very end of the trip. Like, Brooke and I got in a little taxi. We're headed for the airport. We had to fly out of there. And Brooke turned to me and said, Mr. McFadden, I need to ask you a question. I said, Brooke, yes. And he said, Mr. McFadden, may I have permission to marry your daughter? Well, that was, very meaningful to me because, well, for one reason, when I, 40 years ago, asked Harriet's father that question in the wine cellar at his house, he never said anything. He didn't say yes or no. But the ceremony went on. So I was ready with an emphatic yes. And, after that time, it was so great. First, we were part of the secret. Even Annie didn't know. Boo and I, we were hot on the secret. We were some of the few that knew. We were living it up. And then, you know, as time went on, once Annie was asked, and she said yes, Harry and I were just so happy all the time. It was, you know, ridiculous. It was like people say, "Why are you smiling so much? What's wrong with you?" So, why are you always so happy?
Okay. I feel giddy. I feel a little giddy.
This is Harriet, this party. This is everything that she has done. And you can just see, looking at it, it's unbelievable.
That's what Lucy said, Mom, your vision for the wedding came true. And it is. It's so cool.
You can hold that pose all day.
Yeah.
Honestly, I finally figured it out. I figured out it was a feeling, it was knowledge, it was, you know, something special that I could tell that Annie and Brooke were going to share the same happiness I shared with Harriet. How are you going to go on the cliff wall?
I'm going to hold my dress.
Wait, Annie, wait. The groomsmen are still out.
It's really unusual and special in our family for Annie to be doing something first, because for school and things like that, I'm the oldest, we all go in order. So it's so fun for me to watch Annie decide such a huge life decision. It's fun for me to be the little sister.
Annie.
Yes.
Can you live without this man standing beside you?
No.
Brooke, can you live without this gorgeous woman standing beside you?
No.
Then Granny gives you permission to get married.
Thank you, Granny.
I love you, darling. Now we're going to torture the groom, so everybody be quiet.
Into this holy union, Annie and Brooke now come to be joined. It's hard to imagine that it gets much better than this. A setting so beautiful you have to touch it to make sure it's real. A young couple so obviously and joyfully in love. And topping it all off, a large gathering of their dearest family and friends. Each one of us united in our devotion to them. In this most particularly human event, the ritualized joining of two lives, joined against all sorts of odds that don't need recounting. We all know them. We know those odds. All of us gathered, though, are encouraged by the great act of hope that you are undertaking today.
Double, toil and trouble. Annie's in love and Brooke's in trouble.
I forgot the other thing.
We're so well organized.
So now this is the McFadden tartan, and I'm going to put this around the bride and the groom, and I'm going to wrap them up tight, so they'll all.
Am I getting tortured too?
Torture!
Hush. So they'll all be cozy and warm and never be apart. Now you say, cozy and warm and never apart.
Cozy and warm and never apart.
I'm the oldest person here, so forgive me if I forget a few lines. Every Christmas Eve in Germantown, Tennessee, where we live, we make a toast to somebody at the dinner table. And one Christmas, Annie made a toast to my husband, Dad. And the title of the toast are 10 Reasons I Love Dad. So I'm copying you tonight, my darling. and telling 10 reasons why I love you. I love you because you are open to life in every form and all the experiences it can give one. You are positive and non-judgmental. Don't cry, it's all nice. This is for you, my darling. I love you, Annie, because you've chosen Brooke to be your husband. He is perfect for you, my honey child. Take care of him, help him in every way. Remember, you give 60% and expect 40 back. Brooke, in all seriousness, we've all fallen madly in love with you. You're about the nicest guy I ever met. You're coming into our family in such a meaningful way, so we know we'll have you forever. And I wish you could have known Dad. He would have loved you and you loved him. In fact, if he was here tonight, he'd say, "Good work, Miss Perfect."
In the name of God, I, Brooke, take you, Annie.
In the name of God, I, Brooke, take you, Annie,
to be my wife.
to be my wife.
In the name of God,
I, Annie, take you, Brooke,
I, Annie, take you, Brooke,
to be my husband.
to be my husband,
To have and to hold
to have and to hold,
from this day forward.
from this day forward,
For better, for worse.
For better, for worse.
For richer, for poor.
For richer, for poor.
In sickness and in health.
In sickness and in health.
To love and to cherish.
to love and to cherish,
Until we are parted by death.
until we are parted by death.
This is my solemn vow.
This is my solemn vow.
Just stay right there. Rings.
Annie, your mother and I love you. We're very, very proud of you. You've done so much and you've done it so well. It begs the question, what does a father want for his daughter? Well, obviously, we want good health, but we also want a life partner that is kind, gentle, well-mannered, hardworking, ambitious, and that's where Brooke comes in. Brooke, you fit the bill completely, and I am so genuinely pleased to have you as my son. I need a son. On that note, I'm going to say, Brooke Stroud is going to be an outstanding member of the Prouts Neck community. We're going to have to work a little bit to get him away from Northeast Harbor, but we're going to get it done.
It's kind of awesome that this just came together, where like that relentless love just right here, it hasn't gone anywhere.
From the beginning, I had noticed that she showed her whole self to him, Coke bottle glasses and all. And Brooke has always been all in.
You take care of, you love him so much in every single way, and you support him in every way. And when I look at you, there's just, it's like you guys will be together for the rest of your lives, and so happy and perfect and supportive. And Brooke has never been so calm and relaxed and himself. I couldn't be happier to have you in my family for the rest of my life, and I love you both so much.
My family is so excited for Annie and Brooke, but this toast is to the fates, the three weaving goddesses who brought us together tonight. Cheers to the fates.
I think that's enough. So I just want to make a toast to Mr. and Mrs. Brooke Wister Stroud. Thank you. Thank you. Oh. All right, I passed. We did it.
wedded life is just a bowl of salad. A bowl of salad is only as good as what you put in it, and you can always shake it up. Dressing is optional, and too much dressing is never a good thing. They're a perfect match set, though each differently beautiful and talented, remaining free to be who they were meant to be. But when they come together, they are able to accomplish things that neither one of them can do alone.
You can't hide no love will find you. Love will find you. Hear that heartbeat, it's true. You can't hide no love will find you. Love will find you. Hear that heartbeat, it's true. You can't hide no love will find you.
To love someone is to put yourself in their place. You know, to be able to be in their story or to be able to tell their story. And I think there's a lot of truth in that. So I'm going to toast Annie and Brooke that they hope that they are able to tell each other's story for the rest of their great, wonderful, loving lives.
The peace of the Lord be always with you. You may kiss the bride. Great. Peace, darling.
I read once that dreams are the seedlings of reality, and this night, this moment with Annie has been a dream I've held quietly for a long time, and I couldn't be happier to be married to you, and I love you so much. I'm excited to party tonight with everyone here. Thanks for making the trip. Let's have some fun, so thank you again.
Hear that heartbeat, it's true. Whoa, you can't hide no. It's love will find you. Love will find you. Hear that heartbeat, it's true. Whoa, you can't hide no. 'Cause love